Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm joined by my musician sister, Monica Padman. Today, we are talking with the Avett Brothers, Seth and Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I love these two so much.
I know. They're really lovely people.
I really encourage people to watch the wonderful documentary about them on HBO called May It Last that Judd Apatow made.
Yeah, it's great.
They are American folk rock singers, musicians from North Carolina. Their albums include True Sadness, Magpie and the Dandelion, I in Love in You, Emotionalism, and then their new album, their 10th album, Closer Than Together, comes out October 4th. These boys are as pure and as good as it comes. And they play for us, which is so exciting.
Such a treat.
Please enjoy the Avett Brothers, not only on the podcast, but boy, look them up for when they're coming to your town. There is no better live show that you can see. We went.
Yeah, right after this recording.
Yeah.
So fun.
We had the time of our life. So please enjoy.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Guys.
So it begins.
Now, Monica hates when I do this, but I'm fearless about doing this.
Uh-oh.
The handsomeness of these brothers,
Oh,
is it
I know.
not fucking overwhelming?
It is. It's a lot for our small attic.
It is. And you know, the real magic here isn't just how beautiful you both are. But somehow, generally when a guy's as beautiful as y'all, guys don't like that guy. You know what I'm saying? But you're still likable and tens.
We get a lot of man love.
Yes. We'll try to keep this straight for the listener, but obviously Scott just spoke. What if my solution to this was every time you spoke, you would just go, Seth, I totally.
Yeah, we've done it. But then if I really want to say something, but I don't want to take responsibility for saying it, I could say, this is Scott.
That's right. I think Seth's probably the greatest musician to ever live.
We always
His songs are the best.
we always joke about how when you enter like a hotel lobby or anywhere where you're in any kind of close or far proximity with Scott, you can hear him. You can't hear what he's saying, but you can hear
Just a low murmur.
yeah. So this is Scott.
But it does perfectly kind of bring up immediately one of the most interesting parts of you guys is that you share an identity, which is a very precarious, fruitful, and yet wrought with all kinds of things, I think, probably that are unique to your situation, which is you guys are brothers. You're known collectively as a team, and you share all the credit, I'm assuming. It's probably a very rewarding thing, and then I bet it's also complicated. My head goes immediately to imagining my brother and I doing what you guys do, which is like, you're neighbors, right? And then you're on a bus together. How many days a year?
I mean, ultimately, this is Scott, by the way. Ultimately, traveling as well as playing shows. I mean, I bet 100 days, 110 days.
110 probably.
Yeah, and for most of the folks listening that have siblings, you know, as much as you might love your sibling, I bet it's a majority that wouldn't choose to be 100 days in one vehicle together.
Yeah, we talk to people all the time that say, I haven't seen my brother or sister in 2 years or 3 years. You know, they don't see them but once every blue moon.
Yeah, so it's an incredible gift, but I also imagine that there's all kinds of interesting things you guys have to navigate.
Yeah, but we, the reason that it works so well for us, at least at this point, at least one of the factors would be that for anyone listening to this or anyone that's, you know, in our age bracket, late 30s, 40s, you think about, goodness, what if I had to work this closely with my sibling now as we are now, but they haven't spent the last 20 years sort of changing together. We had sort of a very typical older brother, younger brother dynamic, I think, from our teenage years, me being 4 years younger, looking up to Scott, you know, looking to him, for example, and that still exists. But when we started working together, started making art together, we have gone through a lot of our growing and a lot of our mistakes together and have helped each other process them and figure out what comes next together. So on a lesser scale, but like a marriage, even within the band as well, it's like that. You know, you have to change together, figure out how to forgive each other as you're going. So it's easier for me at 39 and Scott at 43 to be able to do this because we were doing this at 29 and 33, and we were doing this at 19 and 23, you know.
Yeah, and then some bands will run into the thing where either a manager starts trying to intervene and make peace, or even in the case of like Metallica, they brought in that famous therapist to try to glue things together. I have to imagine in the times that you guys have had your growing pains, do mom and dad intervene? Do you ever get a call from Jim that's like, all right, boys, now stop fucking around. You both got a great thing here and you're being butthurt about that and you just need to grow up. Like, have they ever stepped in?
We've never had a crack in the system enough for us to have other family members or anyone intervene. Bob will be the dad.
There's been a couple times
early on where Bob would step in and say, hey, guys, you know, here's the deal, and you're wrong, and it doesn't matter, he's right, but the point is that this is right and that's wrong. I think more our dad or mom would say something without us asking, like when we're spending individual time with them, might say.
It's not like a direct thing, I don't think, where like we would seek counsel from mom or dad because of a rift between us, but if there's a rift between us, it's indicative of an imbalance for either one of us or both of us, you know. And if it's that deep, if there's something going on that's that big, I'm probably going to be seeking counsel from dad anyway. I just had just talked with dad the other day about you know, a dear friend who recently died, and I just needed to talk to dad, you know, and he really helped. But if Scott and I are arguing, I mean, I think that we need to look at like what's causing this. Like, it's probably not whatever point that we think we're arguing.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right. Yeah. Well, I'm married. You guys are both married. Yeah,
Right.
when you're fighting about the dishwasher, you're not fighting about the dishwasher.
Right. I mean, it's hard to like let that go, take that out of your
Because you're
clenched
certain in that moment it
teeth.
is about the dishwasher.
Right. You're like, this is about the dishwasher.
And they
you know?
shut the cupboard doors.
Right.
That
yeah.
If you just did that.
And especially if the other one presents that it might not be the dishwasher.
you can't say that.
Then
No,
it's like it's even one more thing. We're like, no, you're not right. I'm right. You know?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, who's Bob? You mentioned Bob.
Sorry.
He's the bass player.
Bob's the bass player.
Oh, great.
So Bob was like the third. He was the one that came in performing with Seth and I. That he really pushed us to get on the road, and which was a key for us because we were so self-centered in how we existed. Like, we just expected that the world would come to us, and Bob did a good job of going, guys,
That's not
Yeah,
going to
let's
happen.
get on the road.
It's just
We
not
need to
gonna
go to the world.
Yeah.
So there's a great documentary about you guys called May It Last that's on HBO. I urge everyone to watch it. It is one of the most beautiful little journeys.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous the whole time watching it. There seems to be enough so that I'm even suspicious of it, where I'm like, how the fuck did these two, you guys have a dad you can go talk to and give you guidance and stuff. Right out of the gates, you're looking at maybe 15% of America's got that.
No, right.
And then you just grew up in this kind of like Concord, North Carolina. It's kind of pastoral and beautiful. And there's just this amazing rhythm to that place. That's great. You have fresh air and open spaces. You guys can somehow coexist together and be prolific. All that seems like a mystery to me, to the degree where I was like, hold on a second here. Is there some hidden skeleton in these guys? I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's so enviable what you guys get to share together. Well, let's start with Grandma. Grandma was a piano player, right? She was a concert piano player.
She was headed there. She ended up being a church pianist, but yeah, she was directed towards
what we're told
concert
is that
piano.
that was in the
On the
cards.
table, yeah.
As a 16, 17-year-old, she was massively talented, and that was in the future. That was what was going to happen before she met Clegg, the preacher. Yeah.
Wait, is that Granddad?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
So she was the pianist at a rough word for me.
It is.
Theater.
You just want so bad to leave.
I know.
know.
It should be your favorite word.
She's a penile? Penile.
I wanna be a penis.
Penis.
I love penis.
So she was the piano player at the church, and then they fell in love.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's a
exciting.
nice.
That is
story.
really exciting. Was that frowned upon or is that fine?
We're not
He's not
sure
a
how that
Catholic.
all
We
went. They weren't Catholic.
We're not going to get in the weeds on that. Anyways, Grandma was a great piano player.
She was critical of I remember introducing her to a girlfriend, and this was in the final years of her life, and I remember her pulling me down with this girlfriend that I was with, a longtime girlfriend. She pulled me down to the bedside and said, if she doesn't love music, she's not the one. Because she'd asked her a question pertaining something to music.
Oh, you're
and
going to learn a lot.
She was nervous, and she answered wrong.
Uh-huh.
And my grandmother right in front of her said this, and I'm pretty sure she heard her. And this girlfriend of mine, her family was from Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But she's a great woman. She was critical. Music was important to her. It was a priority. That's why she always liked Seth better.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
in
did. Were
fact-
you like a better piano student?
I was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And
very good.
I found a letter within the last few years. I mean, as soon as I read it, I was like, God, this is like, it's such an odd sort of ghostly validation. But it was a letter from her, from Grandma Avett, to maybe my dad. I'm not sure. I guess I'm only 3 or 4 years old. And, you know, there's all these grandchildren. And she just mentions me by name and says, he seems to be able to hold a tune. There really may be something in music for him one day or something like that.
Wow.
And I was seriously like 3 or 4 years old. And I was just like, yes,
Yeah.
Grandma,
Anointed.
you knew. And we were always really close.
You are.
Yeah.
And then Dad, of course, he played guitar as well, right?
He did. Yeah.
Was Mom musical?
Mm-mm.
Not so
She
much.
wouldn't claim to be, no.
Okay. But Dad did play guitar.
Uh-huh.
You like hesitated there, like,
Well, you know, it was always just told, we were always told, Mom can't sing. You know, and it's almost like she said, well, I can't sing. I'm
Mama
like,
can't
you know, I
sing.
don't know if Mama can't sing. Maybe she can. She was
She loves music.
She loves music. So when you say is she musical, maybe her job in music was just being around it and being that
Fostering.
person that listens. Because there's a place for that. So I think she was instrumental, no pun intended, in being in a musical family.
I think you should intend that part.
Yeah, that's a good
I did
pun.
intend. Kind of like the
Own
T1
that.
early,
Own that.
earlier.
Don't you think they sound so nice even just talking?
Yes.
Even
yes,
just in
yes.
your headphones?
Okay, so great. I was gonna bring
That's
this up
fine.
at some point. I'm gonna do it right now. You might not know this story, or maybe you do, but it's really funny. And I'm referring to Scott. But the first time I met Seth, he was brought to our house by his beautiful now wife,
Jennifer.
Do I
Jennifer
remember that
Carpenter.
correctly?
Jennifer and Kristen are old time friends. So Jennifer stopped by with her new beau, and it was Seth. And you know what's funny is my mom's in town right now, and she was there that night.
Yeah.
And she reminded me of this last night. So I meet Seth. He's a really likable guy. We're getting on great immediately in a conversation. And then I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, oh, so you're a musician? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. Do you tour a lot?
Yeah, I've heard this story.
And he goes, yeah, we tour. And now I'm like, is it rough? Like, you in vans? Does it get exhausting? He's like, oh no, we haven't been in vans for a while. And I'm like, okay, they're not in vans. I'm like, oh, do you have a bus? And he goes, yep, we got a couple buses. And I was like, oh my God, they got a couple buses. I'm out to lunch on there. They're doing it. This is a real goddamn outfit here. And then so Seth left, and then I immediately went on a YouTube rabbit hole of like then watching everything you guys have done. But it was just it's so embarrassing me trying to figure out like what I was dealing with here. Like was Willie Nelson at the house or
I love that. I love that. Like in your presentation of the story, it's like about how you didn't know about either whatever the popularity of the band or whatever, but really in the conversation, as soon as you learned we were in buses, the entire conversation was about what kind of buses,
That's
what kind of power, what year, like what they could house, like the layout of the buses,
how many pop outs.
That makes
how many
sense.
pop outs, how many bunks, all that stuff, and that's still.
It was like, oh, you're in Prevos. Are you in Prevos or Newhalls? Oh, you're in Prevos. Those are my
You're
favorite.
like, oh my God, Prevos, yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably the only like moral high ground I can claim is it wasn't.
Right.
I didn't get more interested in you because you were successful. I just got really dialed into those buses.
Right, but I mean, I knew Jennifer and Kristen were close and had been for many years. I guess they moved to LA together. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
and
Roommates.
Yeah, so I knew about Kristen. I knew about their friendship, and she was like, "Oh yeah, so Dax is her husband." And I was like, "Idiocracy."
Oh, so you came in with one credit for me. So you
It's Idiocracy.
You didn't have to ask me like what.
Oh,
Anywho,
no.
we,
Oh, no.
we fell in love. I'll say I fell in love with you. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
for sure. There was no turning back.
And
There
then
was no
I
turning
started downloading songs of yours, and I had some favorites immediately. I just fucking love Laundry Room. Boy, does that song hit me immediately. But then I started seeing you guys live. And when I started seeing you live, I was like, oh, there's a whole other dimension that happens in real life with you guys that is. And generally, I don't like concerts. I start getting preoccupied with like, is this going to be an hour and a half? How many times are they going to come back out and forth with the fucking lighters? Can't we just settle on just here's the, yeah. And I see you guys, and I'm like, it's like a Tarantino movie. I want 2 more hours. I've never not been. It was my daughter's first concert I took her to. Was you guys? There's something that happens there that is greater than the sum of y'all's parts. And even getting to watch you guys rehearse backstage before you go out, it's been such a privilege to witness that and how y'all warm up and everything. It's so beautiful. I cannot recommend enough for people. Even if you're lukewarm on the music, which I don't think you would be, you got to go see them live. It is so, so special. It's so, and this is generic, it's so alive. You really get the
thanks,
sense
Dax.
that anything could happen. Like,
It's the reason that we're in our 19th year or whatever this is. I mean, it's the reason for sure.
Right.
I mean, Scott was mentioning earlier, there is no template really for like touring that we've ever known. Like we don't tour for records. We just tour.
Yeah.
We just tour. I think that's a response to how good it is. I mean, not our show, but how good the experience is for us. And since we did start, and we were in a van for 8 years, so like we had the front row seat for this insane connection. At first in coffee shops and pizza restaurants and Mexican restaurants and bars and whatever. And so I think we got a taste for it. We got a taste for like seeing this far away, like we're sitting right now with you in that chair and us on this couch, like that far away when a song is registering with someone for the first time. And it's like really, really touching them for the first time. And it's just like, that's the thing. That's the thing. And you don't get that making a record. You get a different thing for making a record, which is wonderful.
well, you're almost like a stand-up act where you're going out and you're trying out jokes and you're finding out which ones work.
Right.
And you're developing from this real-time feedback
Right.
of what is special about you, right?
Yeah.
Scott just brought it up. The value of the listener is kind of underestimated, but
Man.
your audience has probably taught you so much about what's special about you, yeah?
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt. And it's not as simple as, well, the more people that like the song, the better the song. There are many layers of this, and a lot of them we probably don't fully understand. But much like a stand-up comedian, Pete Holmes is a good friend, and we were talking with him about how when something does hit and when everyone is together, you really do feel like a single entity. Differently than just talking about it philosophically or intellectually. It's like, this is really happening. We are really the same.
Yeah, like it's like all the flashlights aimed in the air join into one beam, or the fucking Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the tractor beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something really special, and it's something that can't really be put into words in this room talking about it.
I'm going to try.
Yeah. Well, we have to try. We have to try, and some people possibly can, but there is something to that experience, and we're not ignorant to it. We can tell. We don't really ever think in terms of like, oh yeah, when we retire or when we stop or whatever. It's this open-ended thing because there is such beauty in the connection.
Yeah. Back to Concord, being 4 years younger, was Scott crushing in high school? Was he the North Star of what you were going to try to become?
In a way.
In a way.
In a way, yeah, because Scott has always been a front man in a way.
Uh-huh.
And I've always thought of him in that way. And his middle son now has the same quality, like this crazy star quality.
X Factor.
X Factor, and also embraces it. And it's weird because watching his spiritual journey, that has been at odds a little bit with his star quality. So watching those things converge and like as he grows older, like spiritual wisdom and that quest running into the thing that made him want to be out in front of people so much, and then sort of each of them informing the other to where they can both actually be benefited by the other rather than detracted,
Yeah.
As kids, there is no spiritual journey that you're aware of at the time, and all it is just me.
Yeah.
And Scott did it so well. He's so handsome and was
so fucking handsome.
So good at being a front man. I really wanted to be like a musician first and then maybe like a rock star second. Whereas I think Scott had more of the rock star. He couldn't turn it off. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And the musical qualities would come later to sort of bolster that and to make him, I mean, I'm speaking out of turn, but maybe to validate the showmanship.
Yeah.
Because he, eventually fell in love with the banjo and then really went into a full-on study of it. But
Well, you're a
so
hell
we
of
were-
a banjo player.
Well, thank you.
and whereas like when I was like 7 or 8, I was like in love. Let me practice. I want to get really good at this. And Scott was like 20 or so when he found the banjo and then was like, okay, I'm gonna put the work in.
Yeah.
So we.
That's a perfect pairing, though. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like it's going to be a
that's
great
right.
marriage.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm like, Scott was a great soccer player. I wanted to be a great soccer player. It seemed like everything he did, he went into it with a confidence that was either warranted or not. But a lot of times it seemed to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always look, and I still look up to him. For sure.
And Scott, it does seem like when I look at you, you do wrestle with this duality of being like staunchly committed to being humble.
Yep.
And then yet you have a job that is very extroverted.
Yeah.
And does demand that you own your essence at times.
Totally. I mean, when I look in hindsight at all we've done, like I've drug the craft of playing an instrument along behind me, and I always led with, get me up there, and then somebody help me out. Just let me get up there and do it. And I've got everything it takes. I knew that. I believe that. I still believe it. I think more when we talk about the spiritual and the being humble, I'm more willing now. I want to get in a G-Wagon
Okay. Yeah.
I want to cruise around.
Sure.
And I want to get on stage.
Uh-huh.
And I want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And because I'm worth every bit of it. I know that now.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
have struggled as I went into a spiritual journey. It's opened my eyes to how funny it all is.
It is.
And how silly it all, like ridiculous it all
A lot
is.
of your music, though, explores that. Like
does.
Vanity.
It does, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
The song Vanity, which you, I assume, did you write that one?
No, Scott wrote.
Scott wrote it,
primarily
but you
yeah.
sing it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of the times where we kind of just played with that. The singing part sort of dictated more of who would do what rather than the writing of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That even right there is interesting because it's like, is there any chance that you were willing to own all that enough in a song, but weren't ready to be the face of it?
You know, and we were talking about this, like there's a lot in the conversation about ownership of songs. You know, how do you represent a song that you didn't write the lyrics to? Maybe you don't even understand, you know? I think for that song, just, you know, and that song exemplifies some of that silliness. It needed two textures. There were like two characters to the, you know, and then, you know. So that's why
That's actually how I introduced the song. He was like, I got this song that's like, and I was like, perfect. So it'll be in C, and then we'll have the minor.
Yeah. But the silliness of it all. I think that's how I can get on stage and be as big a rock star as I want to be on stage, by just realizing how funny it all is.
Now, do you guys have the problem at all? Like the transition from being on the road to getting back home, is it,
Serious
it requires
business.
some work, right?
Serious business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you guys, like, over the years of practicing this, have you refined it and got better? Because they're two really different mental spaces, aren't they?
Completely. 100%. Like, I know I have to go home, and there's like all types of surrendering that you have to do.
And submitting.
Submission, complete submission. It might mean you have to go straight to work as soon as you walk through the door. It might mean you have to tell everybody, okay, I actually have to be by myself for a minute, and then I'm going to be tenfold the helper here, and I'm taking direction from whoever gives it to me. We still have missteps for sure.
But if you guys are on tour and you say, I want to stop at Taco Bell, we're stopping at Taco Bell.
Right.
You have the, you know, you have
Sure.
the position to say, no, I don't really care if everyone in this group wants to go to Taco Bell. We're going to Taco Bell.
Sure.
And then you get in your family car and you're not going to Taco Bell.
No.
You're going wherever mom thinks that.
No Taco Bell for you. Absolutely not.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, I'm definitely still in the revising process there. you know.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely a challenge.
And that kind of goes into another thing that I'm interested in. I think there's some parallel between like doing movies where you go away, you're in this little bubble for 6 weeks, you're in a hotel room, whatever, and you're kind of, you know, you're creating the exact world you want, and you have a lot of control over that and everything. And so when I'm at home, I desire that. And then when I'm there, I'm desiring being back at home. And I guess you're aiming for enjoying being at both places.
You do that too?
Yeah. I'm at home for a long time. I'm like, I want to be in a hotel room and I want to think about nothing. And then I get in that hotel room and it's fucking awesome for 36 hours. And then I'm like,
And you're missing. They're growing up, and you're missing it.
yes. And I'm like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm selfish.
Yeah.
I need to be back at that house. And then I get back at the house. I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Right. It might be a little bit of evidence that it's not the place that you're in.
There's no geographical cures for you.
Right, yeah.
Internal.
I was just thinking about how, like, you know, our minds initially go to the difficulty of changing those roles. But, you know, there's also a lot of freedom. There's a lot of beauty in being able to be like, oh, man, good. Now I don't have to be the boss. You know, I can just like, you know, I can submit. If my wife needs that, then I can provide her with that. And then the question becomes more about like, because of my own spiritual journey, I like, you know, reading words of wise men and women, I want to be meek and I want to be open and be a servant, you know, but there's a limit on that where your wife is finally like, well, can you just make the decision? I'm spun out. I don't know what to do. You just say so. What are we going to do? And you're like, oh, okay, well, I got to be the boss again, you know?
Yeah.
And it's weird, but I don't know if there's a revision that can be made to where like you've got to figure it out, you know?
Right. But in general, do you guys find like how long on the road before you're like, oh, I need to get home? And then how long at home before you're like, I got to get the fuck back on the road?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
After 2 weeks, which we are beyond 2 weeks now, it starts to get very difficult.
Yeah, mentally, it's like that. But then also there's proof in the performances. And like the other night, we're just past 2 weeks, 10 minutes or less before we're going to go on stage.
Yeah.
I remember I got to get something out of the bus. I run to the bus and I've forgotten the code. Like my mind is like just the edges start getting a little blurred, you know, and like maybe like missing chords on stage or whatever. 2 weeks of hyper focus, and like we're talking about, the beauty of connecting with a crowd like that, it takes its toll in a way. Like there's this
energy.
awesome energy exchange, and there's something unspoken where you know that these 5,000 people are not expecting you to match all of them one by one, but something in you wants to.
Of course.
You know, they're here for you, you're here for them. So like, again, about 2 weeks of that, you start, you know,
it's like
fatigue
a
starts setting
cocaine
in.
run. Eventually, you're going to have to take a 1 week nap.
Right,
You
which is
know,
why
you
after
can-
2 weeks, we start taking a lot of cocaine.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, we have another 2 weeks to go.
to get over that hump. That makes it
That's the skeleton you're looking for.
Good plan.
And I
Nothing
hate,
can make me happier.
I hate the
Right.
I hate the reality of it too. Is that usually after we're at that point where our brains are gone and we're forgetting the codes and we're just like struggling to be present, things happen in the shows that are the most magical.
Yeah, wild.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The wildest, and then the little magic moments. I mean, I stepped into the crowd last night, and I had a couple bro love moments with a couple fellas that were just like,
Life changing.
I mean, I was not present. Like, we went on stage, I had a bad stomach ache. I was feeling bad. I was like, ugh. I got up there and got going. And when I went off that stage and saw those guys, I mean, I was just like, this energy into me.
Yes.
And then here I am. I'm back, and they're like, I can't believe what just happened.
We've had that on smaller levels where Monica has food poisoning.
Yeah.
We go out on stage in Dallas, but then there's a few thousand people there, and then all of a sudden I look at Monica, she don't look green anymore.
comes-
She's ripping
Yeah.
it. And,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
there's
amazing.
Something kind of magical there.
It's weird, and there's a physical response.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird thing. Like the scenario and the beauty of the moment and the opportunity for connection can actually have a physical effect.
Impact.
It's so wild.
Yeah, it can
Yeah.
change your chemistry a
wild.
little bit.
Yeah.
But that's also good to keep in mind in general in life. Like if you connect with someone, you feel better. You physically feel better as opposed to walking around in life. sort of
Yeah,
in
that's
your
what
own-
this is
in
all
your
about.
own-
I mean, this is what the whole thing is about. That's why
Yeah.
we make art, music, film, to connect. I mean, our contribution and our duty, above all, is to love people. And our contribution is to make things that relate to people. And through those things, that's our vehicle to actually directly, physically, emotionally, like, connect with it.
Yeah. And also
incredible.
people
Just
are
builds-
connecting via you. Like other people are connecting
Right.
That's
via
right,
the
too.
things you're
Hey,
giving them.
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Avett
you're
Brothers.
giving an actual voice, a literal voice to emotions people have that I have that I couldn't articulate in any other way but what you guys are
It's
doing.
wild. It's incredible.
Where is the North Star come from? Because you guys aren't deeply religious, or are you deeply religious? Like, where is this kind of kindness and love's number one? Where do you think that all comes from?
No, I would say that we are deeply spiritual.
Mm-hmm. But did mom and dad, they raised you that way? Because I could go to they've got like this kind of Southern quality that I could only grasp at. Is there some kind of,
Where we're from, perhaps some of the blue collar treatment of life and the old school sort of Southern etiquette makes its way into just your cadence, like how we are, which might be part of what you're talking about, maybe not. But I think that it bleeds into the spiritual conversation of how you treat people. Our parents definitely taught us that you need to love people. Though there was not an overtly, we went to church, we went to church every Sunday, went to Sunday school, but, we didn't have parents that were like, do you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior?
Right.
Like that was never articulated to us in any kind of fashion. In fact, I remember Dad full on saying, no, it's about being good to each other and loving people and church
fellowship,
camaraderie, and church itself more or less provided a venue to come together with other people, see that other people are hurting. The Methodist Church, which is what we grew up in, which is our grandfather was a Methodist minister. We sit down, it's an hour-long service. The sermon itself is maybe 15 minutes. It starts with people getting up and shaking hands, saying good morning. There's a prayer, and there's in our church there was always opening the floor. Okay, this person has cancer. This person is struggling with this. This person, whatever, like that kind of. It was like a community.
Yeah, like a community meeting, basically.
Right? That kind of deal with the teachings of Jesus at the center of it, but it felt pretty social and pretty conversational. As we've gotten older, we've like people do a lot of times when they're hitting that kind of midway point. God willing, you make it to 80, 90 years old. The midway point's around 40. You start asking a lot of those questions and trying to find out, where do I land in my belief system, you know?
Yeah.
And since then, for many, many years, there's just been an ongoing conversation, at least between Scott and I and Bob and like all, you know, everyone that's part of our group. But it's informed by Jesus, and it's informed by the Tao, and it's informed by Buddhism. And I mean, for my own part, I can say that I'm not sure what the North Star is, but I'm kind of open.
Yeah.
I'm open to getting it from Andy Griffith if I need to, you know,
Sure.
like I get it from where I can.
I don't know where it is either, but I do get a pretty visceral sense of when I'm not pursuing it.
Right.
You know, it's like I
Right.
almost know what it's not more than I know what it is.
Right. But the more I learn, and like, you know, Richard Rohr is a big one in our conversation now. You know,
Who's
Richard,
he? No.
Scott might be better given the background of who he
He's a
is.
Franciscan monk. He's in Albuquerque. He just wrote a book called The Universal Christ. I think which is his overall message of his life. He's 76 now. If you research him and study what he's written, let's see, how do I put it? I think the overall message, overall message Richard Rohr is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but-
refine a whole book into a sentence.
or his
for me.
whole life's work, really. But
Right.
he's a mystic, okay? He's a Christian mystic. But his ultimate message is we get caught up in the words. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we get caught up in, and we've misunderstood the Bible completely. We've misunderstood what Jesus was trying to,
The message.
the message. We have gotten caught up with proving that Jesus is the one versus
His message
following
is
what
the-
Jesus was saying.
and defining what the Christ is.
Yeah.
Apart from the man that we have assigned that as a last name to.
Right.
Yes. My guess is, or what I've gotten from Richard Rohr's writings is, if someone calls it waste bucket, I worship the waste basket, but it causes you to live well and love others and forgive yourself and forgive and be able to live.
Some kind of harmony.
And so then it is the is.
Yeah.
It is the same is that is over there, and we're getting so caught up with
Yes.
with what we
The
what we title
semantics
it,
and
the semantics.
particulars.
And so I think it's important to find that in all of them, we throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I feel so often that people say, well, if you're religious, that's bad. If you're spiritual, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like just, well, no, there's so much good in religion.
So,
There's so many lines that have been drawn that have caused so much trouble.
well, also, I'm a very outspoken atheist.
Sure.
And yet I don't deny the data that when people do congregate in church, they have all kinds of metrics that trend higher as far as quality of life, live longer, all these kind of things. So you'd be foolish to deny the certain values that exist within all these communities.
And we're working together. We're the same body. That's the most important message, that we are. I am. You are. We are of the same body.
I like that.
How can you deny another? We are part of the same. We are the human race.
Yeah, we're
we
one
are
organism.
the planet. We are one organism.
Yeah.
It's an incredible, challenging way to think.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
What's great about you is you took a journey. It's not like you guys started playing the music you do today. In fact, when I watched May It Last, I was excited to find out you guys started as kind of a punk rock band, yeah? You had a band, Nemo, right? Mm-hmm. What led to the transition, or what was it that didn't happen in that genre that then...
Yeah, there were two main factors, and they sort of, fortunately or unfortunately, if you would have asked at the time, converged. One was the breaking up of that band. It was a five-piece band. We were at a crossroads at that time. We're young men. We're out of high school. It's kind of like do or die, late teens, early 20s. It's like, are we going to do this? What does it look like to do this? When you do this, when you go from being a high school or a college band into like, we're going to be a band that makes it or whatever.
Yeah.
What does that mean, And to what level do I have to start looking at this thing as like a grown-up business, Like
Sure.
that's not cool or whatever. So the five of us were very close. We had all been playing music for a long, long time, a decade. For me and the drummer, we've been playing for a decade. Scott and I have been writing songs for longer than that. And when we broke up, it was heartbreaking, like a first love.
Oh,
Heartbreaking.
wretch.
Right.
First love.
Because you've certainly been telling yourselves the whole time, we
It's
will
us.
never be one of
It's
those
us.
bands that
It's
break
us.
It was painful.
We're going to do it. It's us versus the
was
world.
dark.
Well, it's identity shattering,
Exactly.
right?
And we've got the thing. Like, we know we've got the thing. Like, we can do this,
Death-like. Yeah.
And so the band broke up. That was unavoidable. for whatever reason, for the changes that were happening, whatever the band broke
20s.
up. Yeah, you know, being that malleable, excited, energetic, afraid kid. And Scott and I were also in a bit of an American roots music renaissance. We were just really discovering, like, we don't need to be looking at like heavy rock music from England or from California or New York. Like, we're from North Carolina. This is where it's at. Like, this is where it's at. Blind Boy Fuller, Charlie Poole, Doc Watson. It's here. We need to narrow this down a little bit. Like, and we weren't just thinking like in terms of like an agenda like that. We were falling in love with this American roots music, and so much of it was from right beneath our feet. For me, coming out of that, I was really hesitant to build a band. Like, I was like, just me and Scott. That's it. I know we'll never break up.
Please wanted to avoid the heartbreak ever again.
I wanted to avoid the heartreak. I didn't want to trust it. Just like
the
a first
lesson
love.
you learned is never love again.
Exactly.
That's right.
And for that time, that worked. You know, I was 21 years old. I was like, no, I don't want to, meet a drummer, meet a bass player. It's just going to be me and Scott. And Scott had been playing the banjo for a few years by then, two, 3 years. And then it was like, all right, let's just do this. Just learning Ramblin' Jack Elliott songs, Woody Guthrie songs, Doc Watson, and trying to do that. And it felt really natural straight away, like our voices together like that, without this wall of distortion in front of us to hide our own insecurities about our lyricism and all that. Like, it was like suddenly like, we got to be good. Like,
you got to have the goods.
Yeah, we got to have the goods. And so we started with all these covers, and we were trying to write songs as well. But Scott and I were falling in love with the music that was natural to our heritage.
Did you grow up on any of that?
Not really.
Not really.
No. What did Dad listen to? I keep saying Dad. I'm obsessed with dads. I don't mean to
Yes, you
undercut
can't
Mom,
stop talking
but
about
I
dads.
love
Mom.
Monica's dad so much.
No, well, Mom and Dad both listened to some of the same. Mom loved Neil Diamond, period. It was Neil Diamond.
coming to America.
All day long.
My mom would put on Fleetwood Mac, and that place would be turned upside down.
Dad brought a lot of George Strait to the table.
Yeah, a lot of country.
A lot of country. We barely responded to that. We were all Zeppelin.
We were off. Yeah.
Yeah.
All Hendrix, Zeppelin, Pink
Now
Floyd.
we're talking.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we were aware of it, Faith No More. And then, as soon as we were aware of it, Soundgarden.
I mean, I just
Alice in
copied
Chains.
Mike Patton. That's all I did. When I saw Mike Patton for the first time as a kid, I was like, I'm going to be him. I'm just going to be him.
In a lot of ways, he's still the one, in
He's
a way.
still
Like,
the one.
artistically, he's
So-
still...
Really?
Yeah, he's still pretty much...
one of the most creative.
Certainly one of the most creative,
Unique.
certainly one of the greatest singers on the planet, one of the most exciting, inventive...
This is the Faith No More singer?
Faith No More singer.
He's
Okay.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know that I've ever heard someone herald Faith No More to that level. That's
Well, the
great.
Dax, if you go on this journey, a Mike Patton journey, you're just going to be like, wait a second.
I'm
There's-
excited.
There is literally no one else to compare him to.
No kidding.
He's his own thing.
Not one single vocalist could be compared to him.
Wow. And I trust you
Big,
guys. So
yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
And just know this,
adventure.
like, if you just go on the adventure,
Yeah.
if you do it randomly, there is no telling what you'll hear first.
Yeah.
And what you hear first, you might be like, how could... I mean, it might just be like nothing but screaming, or it might be not like...
Might be an all Italian.
The man did an entire crooner, like all Italian. He did this record with DJ the Automator, Lovage, songs to make love to your old lady by. That's like
yeah.
that's like sort of electronic, but like really sensual. And then there's like full on like metal. Like he's all over the place, but it's never unfocused.
So often you'll hear filmmakers admit to this. You'll hear all kinds of people admit to this, that you're trying to do one thing. You're actually trying to copy something. I've tried to make movies that were other movies, and then just it cannot help but go through my filter and become this new thing. Even if I'm trying to literally copy something.
No
That's
doubt.
kind of the beauty
That's
of
exactly what we did.
Yeah, so who were you guys trying, when you kind of got back together, it was just going to be you two. Was there anyone in particular? you're
Yeah,
trying-
Ramblin' Jack Elliott. I was
That's the
looking at Ramblin' Jack Elliott songs, and he was copying Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
But Ramblin' Jack's delivery was a little cowboy or like cowboy-esque and something.
And there's really just one recording,
record, yeah.
record that we were really honed in on.
we knew the whole record basically.
Yeah, and it's Ramblin' Jack Elliott
And Daryl Adams.
Daryl Adams. And you get the feeling from this record that it was something that they made almost just sort of
It was
like
in 2
hip. Like
days,
it's
I
not,
think.
yeah,
It
like a
just popped
2-day
in the
record. It's
studio.
like one of these records that got made in whatever the 70s, 60s, 70s that wasn't like a record like we make now where we go out and, focus for months on end or whatever. It was like a 2-day sit in a room like this, put up a couple mics, play the songs, and then Scott and I basically based our whole beginning.
65 to 70% of our show was that record.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And in my mind, the one thing I would always add to this is that was the bulk of the sort of the character of what we were trying to do. But in playing the kick and the hat, I always had that Zeppelin song in my mind. It's like,
Barnyard.
yeah, I can't remember. It's oh, way you're smiling at me. That's the way it should be. Like a leaf is to a tree, so fine.
Tambo.
Tambo. Because that sound.
Wait, sorry, I was so lost in this.
Yeah, that.
So good.
Yeah,
So
but that back and forth,
Yeah.
immediately gets you. And like we saw when we started playing, like if we do that, immediately people are like into it. That still happens now. Like
All roads
you know,
lead back to Bonham.
That's
They
right.
tend to.
God damn.
They really do.
You guys see the documentary where they showed him recording Led Zeppelin 2 in that mansion? And all the drum tracks from that are in the foyer. He set
Oh yeah,
up
and they've
there.
got yeah.
Yeah.
When the levee breaks and everything, his mics are like 30 feet above him.
Ooh,
yeah.
gives me chills thinking about it.
Nuts.
I have a question before we get too far away from it. The original band, the Heartbreak, and all of that. And Bob is in your band now.
No. Yeah.
So do you think it's hard for those people to be with brothers, basically, to be working and close to and in this relationship, familial relationship in a lot of ways with brothers?
What a great question, because they know that
Now-
they will not reach a bond
They'll
that you
never
guys
be
have. Yeah.
your brother.
Yeah, I
It'd be-
think Bob struggled. Yeah, Bob certainly.
That's hard,
Like,
right?
We know Bob very well. He is our brother.
Yeah.
But he can always just be very candid with me about like, you know, and he doesn't. He kind of knows. He just sort of he
Yeah.
navigates and orbits it in a very.
He's like in a
thoughtful
band
way.
with
I don't know.
Yeah, I think over the years, as it's become more established, it's become more of a like an advantage for them too. Like as it got sussed out that like this is the nucleus and you can trust us. You know, it was like I think it would be harder if they didn't really know our intentions. But we try to lead by example. We try to show them everyone. I mean, like Bob he couldn't be closer, but like among the three of us, even we try to.
Well, Joe too is a staple, right?
He is.
We
And
love
he
Joe.
is.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
Bob brought Joe in.
Oh, we
Yeah.
did. So
Yeah.
Joe plays cello.
Yeah, and Joe's
See-
been with us now for 12, 13 years.
As fun
12
as
years.
you all are to watch on stage, he can distract me. I can get pulled off you guys when he starts fucking going.
Oh, it's
great
amazing.
stage.
On the cello?
Standing playing. He can't even sit down. He struggles now seated playing the cello because he's so used to standing with it and dancing with it. It's pretty wild.
He
But-
looks like a mad genius.
You see the pattern here with Bob. Bob is the one that was like, guys. Bob came down from Jersey to the South, and when he met us and started playing with us, he's like, let's go on tour. And then 2007, he was like, hey, I got this guy that plays cello, and I play this other band. Let's get this guy.
Yeah.
Bob's instigated. He's had a very interesting life.
He's
got
the,
deep stories. And
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's Scott's sort of making a good point there. They're like, Bob, you know, he comes out of nowhere. He books the whole first tour
Yeah.
by
The
whole
himself.
thing.
By himself.
Yeah.
There's many more examples after that, but then he brings Joe in. Joe on his own shapes his life to be in this thing, you know.
Yeah.
And
Leaves
and-
IBM. He
Yeah,
had a,
he
like,
leaves
a cushy IBM job.
He does. You know, like the thing about us being the nucleus to decry or to worry over will never be as close as Scott and Seth are. Everyone that's in the outfit have proven time and again their dedication
Yeah.
and not only their dedication but their worth and how much more they have lifted it because of their involvement.
Yeah.
So
They're just
you
complicated
know.
relationships, right? Though, because
Well, they
like
can be.
it's. I mean, we have a similar situation with me and Kristen and Dax, where
And my sister.
but Carly's family.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like we're all this team, but there are moments where it's like, oh, but they're like a
Yeah.
team.
They
And
live
I'll
together.
never
and
be-
I'm never going to
I'll ne-
be
right.
in that team, even though it's 99% of the time it's like all happy and good. Sometimes it's like, oh boy, but I'm never going to be that.
Well, we're the wrong ones to ask.
You're right. We need to get Bob in here.
In this scenario.
You're right.
My feeling is I hope not.
yeah.
You know, and I feel like we're vocal about, and like that's not just lip service. We believe that we're all one thing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and even in our group, like I hope that people that come to see us and that, people that were in the room last night, I hope that they don't feel like they're too far away from us because
Yeah.
we're making this thing together. It's a real thing. It's not just a
Well,
Yeah.
again, I've had
You know?
this super privilege of like watching you guys backstage, and there's definitely zero hierarchy that
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
we try to
witnessed.
work-
Everyone's just kind of.
Well, imagine if there were like teams, and there it tends to happen, which is a problem. But imagine if there's teams in a marriage,
Right.
and it happens when on our worst moments we're like, well, I gotta have this, and it's
Well,
mine,
it's
and
tempting
I
to do it
love
with your kids.
to do it with your kids.
I have to police myself because I'll be like, ooh, I think mom's batshit crazy on this one. I'm tempted to check
Yeah,
in with
this is
Lincoln
Team
and go like,
Dax.
are we seeing this?
it's team dad,
And I got to stop myself because I'm like, I don't want to do that. But fuck, I'm tempted to.
no doubt.
so
Right.
the reflective that should reflect people. Like we do it with. I mean, when you get bigger into nations and towns, and a marriage should reflect what our relationship with the planet, a brotherhood. That tribalism isn't good.
No.
And family,
No.
when that becomes a real thing within an organization, that ain't good.
Right.
It's not doing anybody any. I'll protect my brother till the end. There's a fine line where that turns into a bad place and a really negative place.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
You know, one thing I noticed on the album, it used to say one thing, and then it has evolved when I've seen it in concert, where now you change the lyrics.
The Murder in the City?
Yeah.
So I always joke about, well, this is Joe. Here we go again with this song about tribalism, because it is so like.
Well, it is funny because it did make me think of it immediately.
That's what I'm thinking about, and it's.
And what's the lyric?
I'm sure my boys know I love them. Make sure my girls know the same.
Yeah, and it used to be my sister
or my brother, or
and my brother,
or my mother.
Because at that time you wrote that song, that was your.
It was just about the
That
family.
was your family, right?
Yeah.
And then it evolved. I think it's really sweet that you like took on.
And I talked to my therapist about this. I was like, you know what? This is just tribal. You know, this is. I don't want to do this song anymore.
Oh,
and she, of
really?
course, was. Well, this was just a thing I was going through at
Sure.
the time. And she was like, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Listen,
This is a good. It's a good song for people. Just do it.
let me
You know,
just-
it's fine.
Let me
It's
just
a
say this.
damn good song.
Yeah, it's like do it.
All of our songs, Scott at one point or another has been like, I don't want to play this song.
And then the next day, I'm like, this is the best song we've ever.
we gotta play that. We gotta open the show with this song. I thought we weren't gonna play a song ever again.
That's thoughtful, though. That's good.
But it does make me think of the one lyric that, and I think I text you. Is it annoying when I'll I'll circle onto some lyric of yours and then I'll reach out to you and go oh man, this fucking, it's getting me in a new way.
I get giddy every time you text me.
Okay, good.
I do. I'm always so excited.
There's the lyric, family, we share a name. How's that one go? Fuck.
Same song.
Same song, yeah. But it says,
Always remember there is nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. Always remember there's nothing worth sharing.
Well, I have to say, because we're on this topic, whenever I'm deciding to deliver that, I think, okay, I'm talking about the name human. I always do that to myself because I'm like, this is so back to it. But
so yes.
But I am a sucker for my family.
No,
I am a
I'm
sucker
sorry.
for my family. I love
If only 5 people are going to live on my property and
That's
there's
right.
20 people, I'm
I'm
sorry.
there
I know
with
which
you,
5
man.
are.
I know.
I believe
love
though.
you.
I believe though it's a roundabout way of saying everyone.
I think so.
There's something about it. I don't think it crosses a lot of folks' minds that it would be exclusive rather
That's
than
right.
inclusive. Like it seems very inclusive to me, and the angle I'm always coming at it from when I hear the lyric is thinking, I hope that's helpful for someone who is trying to navigate having love and forgiveness for someone that shares their name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
hopefully that's some fuel for that.
I think the message weirdly in it, though, isn't so much tribalism is because we share a name. My brother and I have opposite political views, but we're so different. My brother and my sister and we're so different. And yet I'm going to be there for them to the end of time because we have this name in common. And that really is the roadmap. It's like when you think about that you're left and someone's right, or you're Southern and I'm Northern, all that shit. It's like you go in big deal. That's my brother.
Think about the Civil War.
Yes.
I just thought about it. I was just thinking about Seth being in New York or something. I was like, what if? Could you imagine what was going on? Brothers were
literally
each
on
other.
other sides.
Literally. Oh my God. It's so painful.
Or even as I've gotten more into that history, these generals that were all at West Point together, who were all working for the U.S. umbrella, people with 30-year friendships were all of a sudden fighting each other. It's bonkers.
It's bonkers, man.
Yeah.
It's impossible
crazy.
now to wrap our heads around what it felt like to be there.
Okay, now let's talk about this. So really your pathway to success was just this dedication to touring,
It very quickly became like, oh, this is the livelihood, you know.
which weirdly, you're a little bit ahead of the curve because obviously the music industry in general has just shifted to now your money's coming from performing generally, your albums selling, whatever.
no
right?
one buys.
You give it away on YouTube so people come see your show. Yeah, it's the model now. But you guys were a little ahead of that curve.
Just a little, yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah.
Just luckily. It was
Luckily.
total luck.
But 2007 is your first time you guys go on TV and you play on Conan, right?
I had a gray cardigan with a black button-up shirt.
This is he remembers
yeah.
his outfits
has-
like an encyclopedia.
Listen to me.
Ooh, do you have super memory?
For that,
I don't know. I just remember.
Your style is so good.
Oh,
God. Fuck you. You are right at the bullseye of,
Damn.
was that an accident or is he
I think the same thing about you, man.
No,
Yeah,
no.
because I'm like, he's got Carhartt overalls on. What am I wearing? I'm wearing rag and bone. What are I got to get my Carhartt overalls on.
May it last. I was so preoccupied by a lot of things. One of them being, I'm like, Levi should have paid for this. Levi, I never
right.
seen a guy look better in some fucking Levi's. I watched that, and I even think I said to Chris, I'm like, I need to go to I don't even know where a Levi store is, but I need to go buy everything.
I
there.
remember you texting me about this as soon as you watched the
You're
film.
You're so candid. I love this, man.
Oh, I was furious.
Man.
I remember. You're like, where'd you guys get your jeans? I was like, these are just Levi's. Are you familiar with Sears and Roebuck?
Yeah. J.C. Penney.
I'm sure you can find these.
Oh, yeah. I really was bowled over by the style. I doubt you guys have seen this, but Jason Momoa did do some partnership video with Carhartt. And it's just him hanging, man. He's got a skateboard ramp in his backyard. He's like fucking grilling tri-tip. He's just living as Momoa would.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to be head to toe in Carhartt after seeing this. It worked. That branded content got me.
There you go.
But you go on TV. Was it nerve-wracking? Is there some strength in always having one another?
The way that night went, because we were playing in Philly that night. So we were going to drive to New York, play the show, jump back in the RV van, van back to Philly to play the show. So it was like this reconnaissance mission. It's like, here we go. We're going to get to Conan. We're going to do it. Then it's everything off, straight to play a CD release show for Emotionalism. Yeah, the next night.
Wow.
So it was like, yeah, because you do like bunker down and go like, all right, we're doing it. You know, it's like a movie scene where you're like, yeah, you know, driving through all those roads and just getting to the gig and then back. You know, everything could fail, but you get there right in time to go on stage and you're exhausted. And then those magical things happen, like I was talking about. Like that was happening nightly because we were driving 8 hours a day and then playing a show and then driving 6 hours. You know, so in those moments, we did have some knockdown arguments. A lot of them were about. They were the process of the younger brother breaking from the older brother and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And that was good. That was really good. Yeah. It was a good reminder every once in a while to get that still. But we also were forced to bunker down.
Yeah.
And our dad had said, you're going to be your best friends. You're going to look after each other better than anybody else would. Don't forget that, you know, when you're doing this. So that was good advice for sure.
Yeah, because my brother, I can remember almost the exact moment. I made a best friend, who's still my best friend, Aaron Weekly, at like 11, 12. And it was, I think, the first time it occurred to my brother, like, oh, he's got a new... Yeah, he ain't trying to be me anymore.
You're younger or older?
I'm 5 years younger.
Yeah.
And that was just annoying, but I do think he was like, well, wait a minute, though, but I still want this. You know, it was definitely a very clear moment where
that
like,
prodigal son story is so good forever. Like the elder brother in anybody, the self-righteousness.
Well, you have a slave. You're born with, you get a slave, you're 4 years old, and all of a sudden you got a goddamn slave.
And they'll do anything you want them to do.
No one's integrity is good enough that they're going to not abuse that a little bit.
No. Yeah, Bonnie and I both did with Seth. Like we got him to dress up and we, you know, did the whole thing.
Well, I was even saying, I wasn't even allowed to like Michael Jackson or the Beatles because my brother's like, no, we like the Stones and we like Prince. So that's out. But I wasn't even free to make that decision. It was not allowed.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's
man.
tough.
That's a tough thing. Depriving a kid of the Beatles is it's tough. It's tough.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
When you start doing like talk shows and stuff, it's just a really bizarre transition, right? From kind of anonymity to...
And am I worth it? Like,
feeling
especially
fraudulent?
early. Yeah, early when you know that half the crowd in Conan doesn't know you. They're just there. And you're like, I got to go in here and sort of earn this. Or not sort of, I really do. I have to own this and earn it. That's tricky.
Yeah.
We were coming with a lot of just infused confidence. Like we had a lot of confidence already. Just
that's where my mind is going. Just
and we were like, we're good. We know we're good, and we just got to get an opportunity.
I can't remember exactly how it felt at the time. It definitely felt like a big deal. I'm thankful to say that now it is, for lack of a better word, commonplace enough that like I don't call all my friends when we get booked on Jimmy Fallon or whatever. Like I don't call everybody, but I remember when we got Conan, I mean, I called Jeremy Davis, one of our dear friends. Like I called everybody. I'm like, it's happening. We're doing it. You know, like
of course.
I remember the lead up. It was a great victory.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really the most of what I remember about it. I do remember being a little bit nervous, but again, as the younger brother, I did set up a thing for myself between my own confidence about music and thinking we ought to be known. and I believe that in Nemo as well. And I believed it before we had some of the goods that would, you know what I mean?
Merit that
would
kinda-
merit that, yeah. And, you know, you could even make the argument now, depending where your opinions lie, but like we did not have the tools. I think we both felt like that we should be on the path to be really well known.
Yeah.
So I've had like precious few times that I have been nervous at all going on stage because
You're with your
because
brother.
I'm with my brother. And also by the time Conan happened, we played hundreds and hundreds of shows. You know, we had this great benefit, unwanted benefit. We wanted to be on TV straight away, but we had to play and play and play and play before anyone was watching. We had to make a ton of mistakes, but a lot of them were in empty rooms. So it didn't
Right.
matter, which is really beautiful. But I've only had one occasion really since the Avett Brothers really got going where I did like a touring situation without Scott.
This is right when your son was born, right?
Yeah, just before. So me and
Yeah.
Jessica Lee Mayfield, we made this Elliott Smith cover record.
I own the album. It's beautiful.
Thank you for saying
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But we did 13 shows. And in a way, it was like invigorating and terrifying.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's me and her and Paul DeFiglia, a stand-up bass player. And like stepping out there for the first time, I forgot all the lyrics. You know? Like in the first, like we played in Charlotte, the first night of the tour with Charlotte.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so nervous. I
Did
forgot
you just
the lyrics.
own it? Did you say to the crowd, like,
No, it was so unfamiliar to me that like I went through the chords like I don't know, like the chord progression like 6 or 8 times,
and they're just waiting for
and
you
they're
to
just
start.
waiting, and they're just waiting, and I'm like I've forgotten it. I'm embarrassed. I'm also like in my mind going, you've forgotten it. You're embarrassed. Like all
Figure
these
it
things
out.
are just flood through my mind,
Wow.
and then I don't know what happened. I think maybe Jessica like she started singing it or it came into me, whatever. We did the song, and then afterward I felt like a statue. And we hadn't performed together, just me and her yet. And like as soon as the song's over, I just feel like, I mean, my skin is crawling. And she was like, said something that was like exemplified that she's a pro. She's got no problem. It's all good. And then I immediately, I was breathing again. But she was like, we're so glad you all are here. Thank you for coming. And then like suddenly I was calmed down. I was like, okay, maybe we can do this. But like that moment was a massive reminder of how much I take for granted. Like for nearly 20 years. I'm not nervous at all, man. Like me and
Right.
Scott,
Party's
I've got
on.
Scott,
Yeah.
whatever. We're good. Like it was, whatever. Throw me in front of the Super Bowl, whatever. Like it's me and Scott. We can match anything. There's nothing that can stop us. I really like. There's something way down deep in me that really believes that.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. Isn't it great in retrospect to get humbled sometimes like that?
Yes.
Because it truly makes you cherish the
Yes.
things that click and go well.
It really is.
Because
It
if you just
really
have
is.
this kind of blessed trajectory where you don't experience that, it's hard to really understand how precarious the thing you guys have is.
No question.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
question.
it's
and
nice
how fragile in some ways. You know? And
Yes.
yeah, and just how much of a kind of a jerk I am for taking for granted at times, being careful to not let that completely bury me. But a good reminder is good.
Yeah.
You know.
You have to be ambitious. People who aren't ambitious don't sit down and write 10 songs for an album. That's just the fact. You got to start with ambition, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes this really delicate act of throttling that ambition and checking yourself with the ambition. So I wonder, did you at all get any of those moments get gobbled up with, great, we're on Conan now, so we'll probably do this, and then it's that, Don't you think just being ambitious runs that risk of everything's a step towards something?
I don't recall thinking about anything beyond that.
Good.
I recall thinking, okay, anything beyond this would be
Same.
icing on the cake.
To me, we have done it.
Yeah. A lot of our people that we looked up to, the ceiling is so silly. The ceiling wasn't high.
Right.
Looked around. So when we were selling 500, 600 tickets in a club, that we had seen our heroes. We saw Mr. Bungle, which was one of Mike Patton's projects. We saw him pack it out. We saw
Dinosaur Jr.
Sunny Day Real Estate.
Oh, I loved Sunny Day Real Estate.
So we would see these bands and we would just freak out. So now we're in those same places we had seen the bands packing these out. So we're kind of like,
That's it.
we're
We
here.
did it.
Right.
Yeah, we're here. And we could see a way financially that we could do this.
Yeah.
Now, once you sit there for a second, you go, wait.
Uh-huh.
There's more.
We could take another
Wait.
step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we got a little more personnel, we could make the stage more like this or whatever.
And we have literally done that for 19 years now.
Right.
It has grown every year.
It's so incredible.
That's real. That's what's very tender and specific to this. It didn't grow in 5 years. It's grown every year for 19 years.
Yeah, and I'll say this business-wise, Scott has been brilliant in a way that no one ever sees or talks about. But Scott's always had a really good hand on the pulse in terms of we need to spend this money to get this
Invest.
person. And right now, look, on paper, it looks like we'll have less money to work with, which we will. But adding this person is going to make the show this much better to where we're going to get this much return.
It's almost believing enough in yourself to invest in yourself, right?
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
And that's kind of hard to do.
It is, but Scott sort of introduced that mentality early. I got on board pretty quickly, like, oh yeah, let's get a drummer. If we get a drummer, oh man, now we're playing at festivals and there's 10,000 people in front of us. You know, how do we grow into this space? It's like, God, I don't know if we can afford to do this. It's like, we can't afford not to do it. We got to do it, you know?
A couple of years ago, we agreed to do it, and this is a little unrelated, but we agreed to do a July 4th show in Milwaukee for 22,000 seater.
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
And we signed on to it pretty late. They said, we really need somebody. We lost our act, and they gave us a big check
Guarantee,
for it.
yeah.
And it was Brandy Carlisle and us. As we're going in, we're thinking, okay, you know, Brandy Carlisle, we'll be able to draw good.
We're gonna pack them in, man.
And, you know, we're saving these people. You know, we're going to bring them a show. Sure. 2,400 people
Oh, wow.
on July 4th.
In a 22,000.
1 in 10 seats was occupied.
Oh,
And it was like, we are playing for the people that are here, not the people that are not.
yeah.
So, and the show was, I don't remember it being
Wouldn't it-
bad. It was fine.
Wouldn't
but
it have been great though? Like just like you said, 1 in 10 seats. Wouldn't it have been great if they were like evenly distributed?
Yeah,
throughout the whole-
exactly.
1 in 10 seats. All of y'all came by
They were
yourselves.
so polite, no one moved up. Well, I didn't pay for that seat, so I'm not going to sit there.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, an old time country band can't be this big.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The thing I was thinking about earlier when like talking about like those early days and what it means to get on Conan or whatever. Scott and I have been talking about this a lot recently. You have to get to some level of comfort with campaigning for yourself,
Right.
which is
Self-promotion.
nauseating. Yeah, it's nauseating, and it's maybe a little less nauseating when you're young. And we're talking about this like we sort of in a kind of a dumb, haphazard way. Dumb is a bit of a negative spin, but like we sort of accidentally accepted the role of touring musician to support what we were going to do. We didn't have the knowledge early to say, hey, look, we got a tour. That's the only way, you know, in 10 years it's going to be streaming and no one's going to care about buying records anyway. We got a tour. So like we didn't know that, but we just sort of accidentally found our way into that. And I'm very thankful for that because at that time we got comfortable enough campaigning for ourselves.
Right.
And now we're less comfortable doing that.
Oh,
like,
you've
like
gone
in a
back.
way, like we see it as a part of like it's a necessity,
It's a part of the job.
but personally it has, you know, it gets harder as you get older and you realize how small you are and you know, you have, you know, friends die and family die and, you know, cancer and divorce and all this stuff. You are humbled by life and it gets a little harder to believe you should be saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. You know,
Yeah.
like what we're doing is in a way saying that, look at us, look what we're going to offer you. But man, it's hard to do that sometimes.
I think we believe that everybody's got that in them. It's not fostered for everybody. Not everybody's. We're all so privileged that our folks loved us and said, you are a sweet, whatever, child of this planet, child of God. You are. And go be that. And that makes you the rock star. And everybody is allowed that. It's there. It's within them. So I think that for us to go out, it doubles over on self to where it's actually much easier because we can go and spread that message.
That's the flip side
watch
of the
us
coin.
go.
That's
Watch us
true.
go.
If
Check it
we're
out.
if we're seeing ourselves as the beloved, we are
It's just
knowing that
know.
we are a precious thing. Then it's okay. But it's coming from such a different place than the campaigning that would have happened as a 20-year-old. You know,
Right.
that's
Totally.
you know.
20-year-old, you're going, what am I? Oh, I can't
you
wait.
maybe are really believing your own BS. You know.
Yeah. I want to tell a quick story. Kristen and I were down in Atlanta, I think. Yeah, Atlanta. She was doing a movie with Melissa McCarthy. And they happened to say, like, oh, what are you guys doing tonight? And we're like, oh, our friends are in town. We're going to go see their band. And they're like, who? The Avett Brothers? And we're like, yeah. And Melissa McCarthy's like, you guys know them? And we're like, yes. Would you like to come with us? And remember, we knocked on your tour bus.
And she
we
didn't
came.
know.
Yes, we surprised them with bringing them to your tour bus.
Yeah, I remember that she was not aware. Like when she was getting on the bus, she did not know that she was getting on our bus.
Right.
And then she had this look on her face that you just couldn't believe, you know, because for us, it's like, this is Melissa
How can you
McCarthy.
believe-
What
how
is
can
she
you
doing?
not
Like,
believe
how,
this?
yeah, how, like, what in
it
the
was a
world?
two-way mirror
Right,
of like,
yeah.
wait, why are you here? Why are you
Why are
here?
you here? Yeah, I love you. I love you. Yeah.
You guys do this thing where Melissa McCarthy would want to come on your bus and just
Right.
be giddy to be around you.
Wonderful.
That's a very fun, special part of this, isn't
It
it?
really is. It really is.
It is.
Man.
we've never been more aware that there is no one person that has more or less value than any other. The excitement about having her on there, one is that it's so genuine. Her love for the music is so genuine.
Oh yeah.
You know, and there is like a built-in mutual respect. Yeah, to have the opportunity to thank her for giving me joy, for giving all of us joy. Is
like the bad ego side is like, oh, getting approval for someone higher status than you. But the purer one, which is nice, is like, oh, someone I really respect and like actually digs the thing I'm putting out into the world.
Right. Well, yeah. And we all know like the status thing will evaporate quite quickly when you meet a person and they don't measure up in their character.
They rarely do.
But I mean, like the full other side where you're like, I really love you, and then you realize that they are through whatever struggle or whatever that they're not receptive or they're just kind of a jerk.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
like that's a really tough thing when that happens. So it's nice when.
Well,
that's
I even
not
cut
the
a
case.
lot of famous people slack because I do think everyone's promised the same thing, and everyone gets here and goes, "Oh wow, I didn't look in the mirror and love who I saw. I was convinced I would, and now what? Now what the fuck do I aim
I
at?"
feel for the insecurities that sometimes come off as ego.
Yeah.
And then you hear someone says, "Well, they're a dick because they did this or that." And I'm like, maybe
Judging them
what
on
they did
one
is
moment
dickish,
as well.
but
Right.
like,
Yeah.
but where it's coming from is probably a very, very different place than you think.
I try to tell myself all the time, like when the guy who, cuts me off in a fucking truck that's got a 9-inch lift and 44-inch tires and flips me the bird as he goes, I immediately want to go like, that guy's a piece of shit. And then I'll think to myself, oh, God, that guy wants love just like I do. And he just chose a way that I wouldn't be choosing to go after it.
And let's be honest, like you like that lift.
I do like that.
You're like, God, that's
that is
higher.
me.
That's a lot higher than Kristen would allow me to get on the.
Yeah, there's jealousy embedded in
If it's
that.
got king bypass shocks, yeah, I'm a little jealous. Those are probably $5,000 a corner.
Oh, it opens up. You're like, oh.
You're like, screw that guy.
Okay, so that's the fun thing, and then the other really fun thing that I think is must be a very special place to get to is getting to work with Rick Rubin. How did that quickly, in a nutshell, come about?
Yeah, Rick reached out to us because the record Emotionalism, I think it made enough noise.
Mm-hmm.
He loved it. And he came to us not saying, I want to produce your record. He came to us saying, I just want to tell you, I think what you're making is rad. And that whether we work together or not, that'd be cool. But I just want you to know that I think it's really special.
It was a very pure, clear invitation. Just, you want to come to the house?
Yeah.
We came to the house, and he just said, I really like what you're doing. And we probably talked. I mean, I know we talked more than he did because he asked us what was going to happen next or what we thought was going to happen next.
Uh-huh.
And I remember you asking him what he thought about emotionalism. And I remember him saying, all the versions of the songs, I'm not sure that they're the best version of the songs, which was like, for me, I was like, whoa.
Slow your roll, Ruben.
Slow down.
They are the
there,
final.
sir.
It's been released.
Yeah, this is over. We put this
Movies
record
out
out.
in theaters. A little late for that note.
It is actually the best it can be.
Yeah, it was the best. It was the best we had. Like now looking back, I see why that was such a valid comment. Yeah. And he was saying it without emotion. He wasn't saying it, and like he was just saying what he thought, which was coming from where he was from. It totally makes sense to me now.
What was the ingredient he thought that you guys needed to amplify, or what lever did he want you
us
to turn?
slow down.
Slow down.
I think so. I think we needed space because we took 13 days to make Emotionalism.
11 days.
11 days.
11 days. I have it in my journal.
So
11
we were
days for
moving
all of
quick.
it. Recording, mixing, mastering. 11 days.
Wow.
Because we didn't have time to get off the road.
And we didn't have the money. We didn't have
Right.
it.
To
We
keep
didn't have
the
the
budget going. Yeah. So I think for him, he was thinking, hey, what if we record in Malibu?
Yeah.
Slow it down. No deadline. No budget. Let's.
And he also
take our
he could
time.
hear in that recording that we didn't take the time to find the groove.
He knew it.
You he could feel that, and that's in like when we worked on I Am Loving You, it was pretty clear the importance to him finding the groove was, and if that means playing the intro to Tin Man for 2 hours, just doom doom ba da doom boom ba. If that means playing that for literally 2 hours to find it and for all of us to become one, then that's what we're gonna do, and it'll be like a meditation in a way.
Lincoln knows all the words of that song.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was at a time it was that moment for us where we were courting several major labels. None of them made sense because none of them had Rick.
Right.
Except Sony and Columbia.
Uh-huh.
Rick made sense to us because we were like,
He was
we
the
are doing
prize.
it on our own. We're making it happen business wise.
And we were already playing in some arenas by ourselves. We without
so we were
without
thinking,
any,
why do we need?
And we were 9 years
But
in.
Rick, we were like, yes, we do want this.
He's worth crossing the.
we'll cross the line. for him.
Yeah. And that place where you invited us to when we went, Shangri-La,
Man.
that's a pretty special. That's some hallowed ground there.
No
yeah.
doubt. Super special. So yeah, the band 1970 whatever. There's like an inscription in the concrete there, and
1976.
yeah, but you can really feel the power, and it really just immediately creates a space for you to get to the bare bones of what you're trying to make,
Right.
which is really needed.
Well, in the movie May It Last, you guys record what is my favorite song off that album, No Hard Feelings. Did that happen in a few, or was that
We did 3 takes, played it live.
right?
Yeah.
Is there a heightened sense of accomplishment when something like that happens, like when the magic intervenes or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember the next day, I think it was the next day, me and Jennifer running somewhere in West Hollywood, we're running together, exercising, we're just running a beautiful day. And I just remember thinking like not to compare because you can't, but like I remember thinking like maybe it was something like when Whitney Houston did I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that magic. Like I remember thinking like I've always wondered like what would it have been like to be in the room when she did that,
Yeah.
And like this song, it's not really comparable in a lot of ways, but like the magic of it all happening right then in this one moment, that felt incredible. And it made me think about that Whitney Houston recording and just how like the magic is in the room, you can just feel it. It felt so good.
Yeah. Boy, I'm very envious of that too, of like be a part of that little capsule of creativity and expression.
You don't never know when
clicks
it's gonna strike, I think like Shangri-La is like a place where like everything is put in place just in case that moment can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, you both have boys, and you guys, I feel like, are an incredibly good model for something that I am always straddling, which is you guys are both masculine in a very Southern, soft-spoken, but strong, yet crazy evolved new version of masculinity. I really think you guys could be the kind of roadmap. I'm still caught in a
Yeah.
lot of the caveman side of it.
It's really true, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
But I look at you guys and I really do think there's this special quality you have that I would say you guys are both very masculine, and yet you guys are both
Very feminine.
very feminine. No, very, just
Thoughtful.
not in the toxic way.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, I'm just curious, this has nothing to do with music. I've been so grateful that I have 2 girls because I don't want to deal with, you should punch that guy in the nose if he's picking on you. I don't want to deal with any of that. I think I don't have to deal with him, but just all like the moment
Yeah,
Well, they
between my
might
dad
get
and
a fist fight as well.
well, I think it's likely that
Yeah.
Delta will definitely get
Yeah.
a scrape,
Bring
up,
it.
Yeah.
a scrape up or two. But raising boys, like, do you think about it? Do you think about what you're hanging on, what traditional masculinity that you want to pass on, and then other ones we should kick to the curb?
Well, I think masculinity is important because feminism is so important now that it's important not to forget the masculinity. Male, whatever rite of passage that we need, I don't know that it's as clear as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that I'll have to, for my family, Seth, anybody that has a boy, will have to navigate that and maybe even construct it, in a most sincere way. It can only be constructed so far, but it has to be.
It can't be built on a lie.
No, it has to be sincere.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to be, but I think there should be a clear, maybe it's a time when they come home at a certain age. I'm thinking like around 12 to 14, they're working for about an hour on the farm, every afternoon or some fit. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It seems like so many cultures have got this moment for a young man where before they were a boy
Mm-hmm.
And now they're a man.
and now they're a man.
Yeah.
And for us, I don't know, you might can relate. For me, I just recently got through the threshold of, okay, I'm a man.
Yes.
And the big man is in the driver's seat,
Mm-hmm.
and the little man is in the passenger seat.
Right.
Still there.
Yeah.
And the
sure.
tender little guys,
Uh-huh.
right? And that's all the therapy. But it's the threshold was so wide, so
Yeah.
deep. And
Yeah.
I think it needs to narrow a bit to get these boys into manhood in a sincere way. I'm not talking about in a dangerous. I'm not talking about initiation at the
Right.
for
Go
at
kill a
soccer
lion
practice.
with a-
Yeah, and like for us,
spear.
it was pretty rough in soccer practice. But I'm talking about something that's real.
Yeah.
I really feel like, and I'm speaking from the perspective of a father of a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So like the specificity, you bring in terms of like what might happen. An example of violence, a fist fight or something like that. I have not gotten to that yet. I have in my mind what I think I'll say or what I think I'll do, and I have in my mind what my dad told me. I remember that crystal clear.
Yeah.
generally speaking, I tend to feel like it is in my son to rise to his own masculinity, and I feel like it's in any daughter to rise to her own feminine strength. I think a lot of it has to be based in etiquette and manners and respect for oneself, respect for the people around him, and I feel like sort of the character of masculinity or feminine quality will sort of naturally bloom on its own. That being said, like what happened with me is I traded a necklace with a friend in elementary school. He had like a little 2-finger brass knuckle thing, a little double ring thing that I thought was super cool. I had a necklace. We're like, we'll trade for a week. We traded for a week. At the end of the week, he wouldn't give me my necklace back.
Okay.
So I went home, and I'm like 10 years old. And like we got into like a little bit of a pushing kind of thing, but it didn't escalate past that. And I was really hurt by this. My feelings were really hurt. And I think I was on the verge of tears, but I didn't cry in front of anybody at school. And I got home and I asked Dad, I was like, what? Yeah, I feel like that's like no one told me that, but like I knew not. I'm like, you can't cry. I'm not going to cry, you know? But I got home and I had to ask Dad, like, what do I do? And he said, son, tomorrow, as soon as you're not around the teachers, you walk right up to him. You say, give me my necklace back right now, or I'm going to punch you in the face. And I said, okay. And he said, if he doesn't give you that necklace back, punch him as hard as you can, right in the nose. And like just hearing him say that, even retelling the story now, I can feel a little bit of that like tightening up. Like,
now you got two problems on your hands.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now you're going to disappoint Dad.
And let me say
you don't
this.
have your fucking.
And let me say this. I'm not going to sit here and say that was a mistake to tell me that. I feel that I'm not going to say that to my son. I don't know that I won't say that when he's 10 or 11 and he tells me about a kid disrespecting him. I might say, son, walk up to him, punch him in the face. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Right.
I feel like I won't. We'll see.
I don't think you will.
Maybe I won't, but I'm not going to criticize my dad for saying it, because what happened is the next day, I went to school, got on the school bus, got to school, found myself in the bathroom with this friend, and I walked right up to him and I said, give me my necklace right now. And I didn't say anything beyond. I said, give me my necklace right now. And I had it in me. I was ready. I was going to do it because my dad told me I could and I should.
Right.
And he took the necklace off and he gave it to me.
Oh, good.
And so that was kind of the best of all worlds, because I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to, hurt another human and all that.
Yeah.
But I was different after that. It helped me because I knew that I stood up for myself. It wasn't the violence aspect, but Dad pushed me into standing up for myself and getting myself amped to a place where I was going to take it to an extreme place to show that I'm worthy of. You told me something, you have to follow through on. You have to honor that.
Yeah. It was probably in your eyes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
There was something, I was amped up. I'll never forget it.
We were watching, Monica and Chris and I were watching this documentary called The Mask You Live In.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about masculinity. And it basically goes, this is the rite of passage to be a man. Make a ton of money, fuck a lot of women, drink excessively, and fight.
Right.
And they looked at me after this list came out, and they were like, look at what a cliche you are. And I'm like, you're right. I sprinted towards all those things. Like, oh, is this it? This is how you be a man? Okay, great. Check.
Yeah.
And it's so embarrassing. And it was just that was the criteria. That was the.
Right.
It's not your fault. It's all
Some
of
the
our
times
faults.
were probably
Well,
my
we
fault.
talked about this, like there were times where war did it. Like there's it's a
Automatically.
clear cut thing. Like whatever, it's 19.
You go away a boy.
Yeah, it's 1941. You're 18. You go. You're not a boy anymore.
Nope.
And it's not the violence of it, but it's just it's a trust. It's a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
You are no longer a boy because we are putting the lives of everyone in this world in your hands. That is an undeniable rite of passage.
Yeah, I think like in the future, a conscription where men or everyone has to go away for a year and you do some kind of public work project.
Make a bunch of money, drink a bunch.
Get annihilated, do drugs.
Super promiscuous. Just And then you're
but you go do that act of service.
Right,
That is the line you walk over
Right.
when you come home and you've made your country better and your community.
Is there a way?
bad
Is there a
thing.
way to create a template for that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I think
the
that'd be
Peace
cool.
Corps, maybe. Like there's something.
Yeah, but like a mandatory one. Okay, your new album comes out what day?
October 4th.
October 4th.
Yeah.
And it's called
Closer Than Together.
Closer Than Together. And what is the theme we're exploring in this one? I've listened to several of the songs, love them, of course, as always. I bleed Avett Brothers. Was there an overall theme?
Personal relationship to this world.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's what it is.
I mean, what you just said a few moments ago about us all being one. That's really what that phrase, which I believe is a very profound phrase this guy came up with. The closer than together, that concept of being closer than together. I think it just speaks to this conversation we continue to have about we are one. We need to think of ourselves as one. We don't need to tear each other down. We need to forgive each other, and we need to land on the golden rule. You know, not that it's not really a place of like we're trying to preach to people, but it's just about us all being one.
Well, the things that I've liked the most of y'all's is when the lesson you're passing on is just taking inventory of your own indiscretions, confusions, failings.
Yep.
When it's your story, I just feel like no one gets defensive, and it's like, oh yeah, this is his story, and I can relate to it. It's an AA thing. It's like the power of the message is just, I'm not telling you.
Don't talk
shit.
about talk about yourself.
Yeah. Too many people now are saying, well, he shouldn't be this or she shouldn't be that, when you don't have really any idea where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, you should defend yourself against whatever comes at you. That might be how you love that person, by defending yourself from them. But yeah, like we can't go around telling other people how they got to be. We don't know them. But we can tell them, this is how we have felt it, and this is how we've seen it, and this is how we live and how we mess up.
Right.
This is our shit, you know?
Yeah, because I can connect to all that stuff. And yeah, I found a lot of the things, your own blemishes that you've aired, your dirty laundry, that's the stuff I connect with the most. I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that big time.
That's the problem with the bigger picture. We don't lift up the people admitting we're wrong.
I know.
I'm weak.
Yeah.
I'm weak. I'm not. I don't do the golden rule. I'm not good at it. Instead, they say, no, I did right. You did wrong, and I'm perfect.
Yeah, the stakes feel like you're going to be excommunicated at all times, or run out of your. Everyone's going to look at you some way. So the stakes feel high.
See, Dad told me to punch somebody first before they punched you as well, and I did it.
Okay, good. How'd that turn out?
It turned terrible because at the end of the fight, the person was saying, I was just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm standing there going, this is me. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I got one that blistered my mind where I punched a kid and it knocked the wind out of him, and I don't think he ever had the wind knocked out of him, and he was laying on the ground in the parking lot
thinking
of my
he was going to
school.
die.
Literally, I was watching someone scared for their life, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a monster. I didn't know I had that power.
Yeah. But like your shit, like coming back to you and going, and that's kind of a rite of passage in another way where you're like, I am a loser. I'm terrible. I do terrible things.
Yes.
I'm capable of terrible things.
I was afraid. And now I made this person even more afraid.
I was insecure, afraid, mad, hungry.
Tired. Yeah.
So you won. You won the fight.
The headline is I won. Yeah.
Dax won a fight. The name of this podcast would be Dax won a fight.
Oh, goodness. Well, gentlemen, I would love it if you would be open to playing a song or two for us.
Yep.
All right.
Everything good in your headphones now?
Yeah, good enough.
A little introduction about it.
Yeah. Tell me.
So this is a song I wrote in the hospital room right after Isaac was born.
Oh,
So
man.
it was like after
Jeez.
the 40-hour labor and the emergency C-section. I called you during this because
We had the same.
Y'all had a similar experience. So we're like, we're just in the thick of it. And I called you, and it was very helpful. You and Kristen both were super, super helpful.
That makes me happy.
But so then he's born, everybody's safe, everybody's good, everybody's exhausted. And in that rare kind of moment of just total exhaustion, there's this like flood of words that goes through my head, And so I wrote this song out in my notes on my phone, like in the darkness of the room while Isaac is like,
Coming
24
to.
hours old. Yeah, like just, like for the moment, him and Jennifer were both asleep. So it's called C-sections and railway trestles. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum.
You're long and strong like a railway trestle. Dad just a muscle and mama just a vessel. Meant to call, fawn over, cuddle and nestle. But dad's just a bear you can tackle down and wrestle. Son, give me time, I'm a bona fide messo. If mama says no, maybe dad'll say yes-o. Did you do wrong? Well, go ahead, confess-o. Dad just a muscle and mama just a vessel. You all blue and your mama like a rattle. Came out looking like a smurf in a battle. Me in the nosebleeds, mama in the saddle. Brave like a Sioux, brave going into battle. Emotion going like a stampede of cattle. Real like rain and coffee in Seattle. Anesthesiologist, fiddle and faddle. You all blue and your mama like a rattle. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum. Oh, life's so clear like a Rivera mural. Lucifer's teeth introduced the epidural. Dr. Jones, do you need a heaven referral? God sent you down to me and my girl. She's long and tall and healthy as hell, but the plan went to hell when the little fella fell. Boy went head first into her pelvis. 1956, shaking like Elvis. Oh, yesterday born and already thinking. Body like a Ford and a mind like a Lincoln. Mama and Papa in love and sinking into a brand new situation. Drinking up coffee like a fish on second and third shift. Loving every single ever loving minute of this. Standing ovation for the OR specialist. Let me get close, wanna give my son one kiss on his head. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum. Planning for the future, health and dental. Picking up my baby boy easy and gentle. Soup for the family, sausage and lentil. Beans and greens, arugula and fennel. Don't never sleep, I'm about to go mental. But nothing so far has been accidental. Can't keep my life, so it's gotta be a rental. Picking up my baby boy easy and gentle. Oh, you're long and strong like a railway trestle. Dad just a muscle and mama just a vessel. Meant to call, fawn over, nuzzle and nestle. But dad's just a bear you can tackle down and wrestle. You can have a pop tin or you can have a castle. Try to change people, but it's gonna be a hassle. Don't have to be an astronaut for NASA, but it's always good to get a gown and a tassel. Son, have fun with your life, it's a drama. Just one period and all kinds of commas. Now you got a onesie, but then you get pajamas. You know you got me, and you know you got your mama.
Oh, guys. Jeez. Oh, man. I'm such a failure. I can't write a song for my children like that.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Well, you can have that one.
Oh,
You can have- no, this Scott wrote this next one for your children.
oh this, okay, good.
Yeah. No, don't worry.
Oh, my
You can
God.
sing both of these to them. Just
Yeah.
Now-
just- yeah,
now-
tell them you wrote it. It's fine. It's fine with me. So Scott wrote this one, and I'm just obsessed with it, and I have been ever since I first heard it. And I got so fired up about it that I recorded it like 4 times before we even got into the studio to record it.
I wasn't even finished with it, and he took it and
I was so excited. I had to. All right. 3 and 4.
you slipped through my hands like I did through my dad's. like a river that passes, rocks that it's on. I'm bracing for loneliness, I know it's coming. Who'll I hold when you're gone? Who'll I hold when you're gone? Now happiness comes, and it seems much like money. People gather around it. When it's gone, they go running. I'm trying to be here, lift up to the now. But the past that's to come pulls me back down. You slip through my hands like I did through my lovers, like a river that passes the bed that it's on. I'm bracing for loneliness, I know it's coming. Who'll I hold when you're gone? Who'll I hold when you're gone? Now, these victims of love, they're the most hopeless of all. Fortunate prisoners in an infinite war. They turn on themselves, it's pure sabotage. Silver spoon babies with Tupperware hearts. Silver spoon babies with Tupperware hearts. You slip through my hands like I did through my mama's, like a river that passes the rocks that it's on. I'm bracing for loneliness, I know it's coming. Who'll I hold when you're gone? Now who'll I hold when you're gone? Who'll I hold when you're gone? Now who'll I hold when you're gone?
Oh boy, I'm pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
I am so pregnant right now.
Oh, man, you guys.
I'm so pregnant right
Am
now.
I
Are
right
you?
in that everyone here is pregnant after that?
I know I am.
Oh, you guys, I am so
Wow,
grateful
how
that you
special.
agreed to sing.
Thank you for asking.
I love you both. I hope I get to watch you until I'm riding my little rascal up. My legs stop working. You guys
And
are
we're
riding
riding,
yours.
our rascals onto the stage.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I adore you guys. I love you so much. Thank you. And just, by God, what a good message you guys are spreading around. You're much better folks than me. Wish you a ton of luck. Closer than Together, October 4th.
Dax, we're honored to be here. Thank you for having us.
All right.
man.
So glad we made it happen.
Me too.
Awesome.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
The Avett Brothers.
The They are sexual.
They're sexy. It's a whirlwind of emotions, of family, of honesty, of self-critique.
Yeah, they're very evolved.
They are. They almost too evolved for me. Sometimes I
think?
feel shitty.
Okay, that's not fair.
No, when I watched their
all.
documentary, which I love so much, I'm like, if they killed someone, they're so perfect.
I know you want them to have some bad thing.
I
know.
do.
I don't think you need people to have a bad thing just because they're doing good.
Yeah, I guess you know what it is?
What?
I don't know what it is.
I do.
What
It's
is it?
because I feel like it's because
I'm a piece of shit sometimes.
you're not. You're not. Stop saying that.
Okay.
But you went through a lot to get to where you're of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you feel like everyone needs to have something at critical mass like that in order to get there. But I don't think that's necessarily
You're absolutely
true.
right. Some people are just born better people. Like Kristen seemingly was just born a better person. I had to really have my life in danger to become a better person. That's
Right.
okay. There's certainly some wide variety in the way people are born.
But no, I
No?
disagree. No, she's better in some ways. You're better in some ways. It doesn't. Better
I'm
person isn't
stronger.
a thing.
Is that what you mean? Like
Yeah.
physically I can
Yes,
lift more
that's
than
what
her?
I mean. That is what I mean. I don't really believe in that.
You don't. The people are born worse or with the exception of people like psychopaths, right? Where we think they're born. There's something biologically wrong
Yeah,
up there.
psychologically, there's something happening. That's true.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think everyone has good qualities and bad
Do you
qualities.
think you're born a narcissist or you become one or you can be nurtured into being one?
I think you could be nurtured into being one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could be probably born with some extra capacity for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I think about narcissism a lot. Which is very narcissistic.
I know, that's why I
guess.
laughed. No.
Well,
but
not
it's
just my own narcissism.
just in general.
Mine is often on the table when I'm thinking about it, but also other people's.
Yeah.
It's so easy to observe, isn't it?
I actually think for some people it's so obvious and crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it exists in people that you don't necessarily think it does.
Well, I think we're all on the spectrum, don't you? I mean, I
Yeah.
think we're all somewhat narcissistic. We certainly think of ourselves first at
right.
all times.
Some of it's healthy, normal levels.
Yeah, for survival, you got to kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a spectrum.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's true. Okay. So you were talking about Metallica and Metallica's therapist.
Oh, uh-huh.
So there's a documentary. Have you seen that documentary?
Oh, yeah, that's how I know about it.
Oh, right. Some Kind of Monster.
Yes.
That came out in 2004. So the band was rescued from the brink of its own creative and personal disintegration through a couple of years of intensive group therapy sessions, led by life coach Phil Towle.
Oh.
Towle. Toll.
I don't know. That's
That's
I'd be
an I don't
afraid.
know.
I'd be afraid to take a stab at that.
Okay. That's a big I don't know. But there's an article about.
Have you seen Some Kind of Monster?
No, I
we
want
should
to.
watch it.
I really want to watch it.
It's
especially
amazing because the therapist completely loses himself inside of Metallica. It's
Interesting.
phenomenal. He,
Yeah.
like every other human, wants to be in Metallica. You
Right.
can't be with them and not want to eventually go on
that.
stage and be them.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
And so, at least the way it was edited, I'm not making no claim about this person's efficacy as a therapist. I have no idea, but at least how it was presented in the documentary, he was kind of trying to justify him staying long after he had mended the issues. So they basically had to kick him out of Metallica at a certain point.
That is really funny. But he had like a journal, I guess.
Oh, Jesus. Did he publish his journal?
Some of the entries are in here.
Oh.
So I'll read one or two. So day 3. Today we attempted the time-tested trust-building exercise in which one member of the band allows himself to fall backward, demonstrating faith that another member of the band standing behind him will catch him. Began well with Kirk Hammett catching James Hetfield, but quickly devolved when Hetfield pulled his arms away at the last second and allowed Lars Ulrich to crash to the floor while laughing. You're a fucking midget. How could you possibly get hurt by that short of a fall? Note, try something less physically dangerous next time and bring ice packs. So that was day 3. Let's see. How about this one? Day 29. To build their confidence and teamwork skills, took the band into the woods for a paintball battle against former bassist Jason Newsted's new band, Echo Brain.
Oh, wow. I don't know if that was in the doc.
However, during the first skirmish, Kirk Hammett refused to participate in, quote, such warfare simulation against my brother, unquote. Newsted subsequently captured James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich and forced them to recreate the Russian roulette scene in The Deer Hunter with paintball guns.
Oh, jeez.
Note, aggression, not a good idea. Avoid guns of any kind. Try something more spiritual next time.
Yeah, so you should listen to Kay Hammett.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch that documentary because all through junior high, I loved Metallica. Aaron and I were obsessed.
Yeah.
James Hetfield is who I probably identified with. He was the lead singer. When the documentary starts, he's returning from Siberia where he's been boar hunting for a couple months and drinking like a gallon of vodka every day.
That's crazy.
And so to gossip,
Ooh.
I went and saw them. I was a guest of Bradley's to go see them play in Atlantic City one time. And got to hang out with Lars, Lars is a very nice guy. He's from Denmark or Holland.
Okay.
And he came to America to start a band.
Wow.
And so I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think Hetfield and Lars generally share writing credit for all the songs.
Okay.
So I think that's where the little tiff about who was catching, that he let him fall doesn't surprise me that those were the band members.
Interesting.
So we were a guest of Lars. Lars is so nice. We rode on his tour bus to the show. I got to sit behind the drum set while Lars played, which was awesome. And then we all went out to like a band dinner afterwards at a hotel. And I tried my hardest to get something going with James Hetfield. And he was not interested.
Okay.
And he wasn't interested in Bradley either.
Okay.
And so I both had like hurt feelings, and I thought, well, good for him. He is not a status seeker. Like, he has no interest in engaging with us.
Yeah.
And I just thought we were going to bond because in the documentary, he got sober.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is like a guy who got sober.
Yeah.
He's had this tough guy exterior. I think he's really a sweetheart inside. And I really was excited to kind of connect with him on that level. And I didn't get to.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, you were talking about their family relationship and how they're lucky and, they had a dad they could talk to. And you said maybe 15% of America has that. But so I can't find that stat that like how many kids feel like they can talk to their dads.
Yeah.
I looked, but I couldn't find anything.
Probably lower than 15%. Wasn't half of married people divorced? So don't half of people generally don't have their dad around
But
in the
you can
house?
still talk to your dad.
Like every other weekend?
I think the more the conversation is like, do you have a relationship where you feel like you can seek advice from him or tell him things that are bothering you? Also, gender's going to play a factor here. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your kids probably will feel that they can talk to you about anything.
I hope
and
so.
they're girls.
But I can see where they would go like all they're going to want to do is like point me in the right direction. They won't let off this thing of me going in the right direction as opposed to just listening to me and hearing what I'm going through and empathizing with me. I think you got to police yourself as a parent to not constantly be trying to direct it into either learning a lesson from the whole thing or trying something different the next time. You try to be so constructive at all times.
Right.
You probably should make space to just lament with them sometimes. My mom was a master. She would like let me complain about something. She'd go, that must be so hard. And she'd really let me know she got there with me. She could understand how I was feeling. Yeah. And then she'd shift gears into next time.
I think that's the best case to try to incorporate both things.
Yeah. She was very masterful at
that's good.
Making me feel heard and understood before she gave me the advice.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I had that, but not because of them. I don't think it's their fault, but I also think I felt like I couldn't really be super open about being stressed out about like my life because I thought that would stress them out intensely, which it would have, I think.
Right.
One time I was really stressed out and I was having this eye issue.
Oh.
And
What was the eye doing? Twitching?
no, it had this like weird scabbiness on the top of my eyebrow.
Oh, right. What I get every 6 days.
Sure. But it was rare for me.
Yeah.
And so that was happening. I didn't know what that was. And then I was stressed about money. And then I was on the phone with them and something about money came up. And then I like started crying and we hung up. And then she called back kind of immediately and was like, okay, we're going to help
Wire you some
Yeah.
money.
Yes. Which wasn't the point of the conversation, but is very like indicative of what they do. Like I think they are very stressed out by the idea of me being stressed out.
Right. And they want to just be
They want
pragmatic
to
and
fix
solve
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice.
It's nice. Yeah. Back to that thing. Maybe they could have just
Listen.
talked with you about what it feels like to be stressed and not try
Yeah.
to solve it. It's
You know-
impossible not to want to solve your kids' problems.
Yeah. It is so stressful already on them, knowing that I'm far away doing this kind of crazy thing.
Yeah.
And so then to think like, oh my God, yeah, it's not working out. This is our biggest fear. It's getting confirmed.
Yeah.
Like, that's awful for them. I get that. Yeah.
How did you end up clearing up that brow scab?
I think I went to the doctor and they gave me some creams.
And it worked.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. I have so many creams. You've seen my medicine cabinet. There's probably 35 different
I
creams I've been
know.
prescribed.
Well,
And I wonder if they're ineffective or I've just never stayed the course long enough.
no.
I expect immediate results.
I know. And it's going to take a little bit. Although mine wasn't like yours. Mine was an infection, which is why I could put some it was like an antibacterial cream, which
okay.
then fixed the infection.
Was it scabies?
I hope. Anyway.
Anywho.
Oh, you're going to do a little bowl.
Yeah, I feel like I need to.
A little energy
I need
boost.
wings.
Well,
Again,
Red Bull will give you wings.
Not a sponsor.
No. But that was a pretty good ad.
Jennifer, I hadn't even had a sip yet.
Oh my God.
What's
it
gonna happen, Paul?
anticipated, yeah.
Ooh, like a junkie. Like junkies get a little high before they shoot it.
They do?
Yeah, just when they cop, they get high. They get a dump of dopamine and serotonin. Isn't
So
that
why
wild?
can't they just always
I know. You'd think you could trick it.
yeah.
Yeah, what if the treatment was just you bought dope over and over and over again, but you never shot it? Just every 5 minutes you went and bought another bag
Or
of
you're
dope.
baby baby aspirin.
Placebo.
But you don't know it is.
Well, another weird thing too, people who have like severe alcoholism and they have the shakes, they can just drink water and there's so much alcohol still saturating their liver, it'll release enough to calm.
Oh my God.
Their
It like
tremors.
makes a new drink.
It basically, yeah, it just kind of gets some dissipated into the system.
Oof.
That's rough. I've had the shakes many times,
You
and
have?
it is a demoralizing.
I don't think I've ever had them.
Yeah, I've had it where I'm laying in bed and I'm like on my side, and my stomach keeps like
Convulsing.
yes, and I'm
Yeah.
almost having a seizure. I've had that a bunch of times and sweating profusely.
How much did you drink to make that happen?
It'd be like where I maybe drank for 7 days straight, real hard, and then that first night not drinking. Pretty bad
Withdrawals.
tremors. Yeah. Oof.
Yuck.
You feel the feeling is like, oh wow, I did it. Like I'm physically addicted to alcohol. Like wow,
Yeah.
I've crossed that threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very demoralizing.
Oof. Oh, so he talks about how his grandmother likes Seth better than Scott.
Oh right, because he was a musician.
Yeah. And so, people say like they don't like one kid better than the other. But do you think they do?
It's interesting because that's too generic of a term. I think I love my kids equally. I really do.
Yeah.
But there are categories where I enter an easier state of flow with each of them. So if like Lincoln and I are doing something physical, like riding motorcycles or bicycles or something, we can get in a real locked in state of flow.
Yeah.
Whereas Delta and I can get in a locked in state of flow just talking. Mm-hmm. Like she has seemingly a very similar comedic brain, which is just the point of everything is to ultimately be goofy.
Uh-huh.
And so you could say from the outside, like, oh, he gets along better with Delta or likes Delta more. But I don't think that's accurate.
No,
I love them both very equally
yeah.
and think about them equally. But there are niches where we get along better.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah,
So
yeah.
if this grandma only had, let's say, music with the boys.
Yeah, it does make sense. I just, I don't know if everyone's lying or not.
Mm,
And it's not, yeah, you have to take love out of the equation because I do think you do love the things that you've spawned
yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
But liking is different.
Sure. And I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like we're calling it liking, but I would think
Yeah.
more accurate would just be like ease
Connecting.
of connection or ease
Yeah.
of communication or
Yeah.
ease of flow is going to vary.
Right.
You know, my brother and sister accuse my mother of liking me the most. Just because my mom and I have a
Why?
very effortless communication or state of flow.
Uh-huh.
But I in no way think she loves me more than my sister.
No. I think she likes your sister.
The most?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I would like that. I'd be happy to have that be the
I
case.
mean,
I'm getting liked plenty
Not the
enough.
most, actually. No, not the most. Also, I never see her interact with your brother, so I can't include him in this. But
Right.
I think she likes you guys the same,
Yeah.
but
And
different.
she loves
Yeah.
my brother to pieces.
Yeah.
But my brother's not generally super comfortable with physical affection. Like I'll lay my head on my mom's lap and let her pet my ear for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's harder for my brother to allow her to do that.
Yeah.
So again, it's not really a matter of her desire to do it is not more with me.
Right.
It's just
You're
I'm
allowing
up for it. Do you let your mom pet you or your dad pet you?
No.
No.
I mean, we're not. Well, I guess I did when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
My mom used to scratch my
I'm
arm
so
and
glad
stuff.
you changed your picture to your baby picture.
Oh yeah, I did on Instagram.
Yeah, I love that. The little white dress. Wobby Wob, are you physically intimate with your parents?
No,
Neither.
neither.
You'll not lay your head in either parent's lap?
No.
You guys are missing
as
out.
an adult. Well, it's not really up. I mean, it's up to everyone.
It is. It is. It is.
So-
Well, I obsess about it because I am petting those kids of mine anytime they're near me.
Yeah.
I'm just pawing at them.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. They're going to get to some age where they're not going to want me to do that.
I know, because I would say like, oh, it's probably because we never really had that kind of relationship, but we did. And not the same as you, really. Like, I don't think it was as physically
Love-addicty.
affectionate. Just, it wasn't like we're at the table and like my mom has her arm on me. Like, that never happened.
Okay.
But we would watch TV together in her bed and she would scratch my arm and all like, so that all was all very much there. And I would always hug and kiss them before
Yeah.
bed, but I wasn't like hugging and kissing them all day long.
Right.
But
Right.
but it was like a necessary thing before bed. But then at some point that just fell away. I don't know why or how.
It's kind of sad.
It is sad.
'Cause my
I think it's a big enough part of your household that's gonna like stick around. Because it even
You do it too.
yeah, exactly. So it comes from like not just you two there. They
Right.
have us
oh,
and
and
Carly.
the way Carly
and all of
kisses them and
us.
stuff.
Yeah.
I constantly am watching how she is affectionate with them.
Yeah.
And I just think they are so lucky. The way she kisses their neck and cheek like a million times in a second. That thing she does to them all the time. They
Sweet.
giggle. I'm like, oh, they're so lucky.
They are. They get a lot of love. Okay. you give an analogy using Taco Bell. I mean, it's sort of irrelevant. I just wanted to talk about Taco Bell
Yeah,
for a
of
sec.
course.
But yeah, you said if you're on tour and you want Taco Bell, you're going to get Taco Bell. But when you go home and you want Taco Bell, you're probably not going to get Taco Bell.
Right.
And it just made me think about Taco Bell. And because I just had it recently.
Did you try the Mexican pizza? You were completely asleep on the Mexican pizza.
I was asleep on everything. We got there and I was like, oh no, I don't know what to
Wait,
get.
did you go inside?
No. This was like 1 a.m. in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Drive
Drunk.
through. No, we were not drunk. No, we were going from the airport to our hotel.
Oh, okay.
And we were starving.
I wasn't implying anyone was drunk driving. I'm just saying
Oh, I
1
know.
a.m. you went for a wedding. I'm assuming you guys are shit-faced.
That was a fair
Took
assumption.
an Uber through the Taco Bell.
But I didn't know what to get because they have so many things on the menu and I haven't been keeping up.
Yes, it changes quickly there.
Yeah, I was sad. What should I have gotten? I guess the Mexican pizza.
You should have gotten 4 hard taco supremes and a Mexican pizza.
Well, I got soft tacos. I like soft. I like yes.
You don't get the crunch.
I know. I like soft.
Oh, that's so weird because you love Doritos.
I do.
Are you sure you love them more? When's the last time you
do.
got a hard taco?
Well, you made them recently, and they were so good, and I like that. But I do prefer a soft taco.
Okay.
I do.
You
I
want
think
the
it's
softness.
like maneuvering that thing is harder. It cracks and pieces fall out, then some of the meat falls out. It's just a lot.
Well, as you know, recently, and it had been a decade,
Yeah.
Charlie and Eric and I were coming home from off-roading, and we were so dirty that we decided to go in and wash up. And we were definitely getting
At a Taco Bell?
Yes, at a
Oh,
Taco Bell.
okay.
And since we were already inside to wash up, we're like, well, fuck it. Let's sit down and eat.
Yeah, you ate there.
And it was the best dining experience. All three of us kept going like, this is so wonderful to eat it here. Unlimited sauce packets.
That's nice.
You're
yeah.
making a mess, but it's over the tray finally. I'm always eating those in the car.
Yeah, we were in the car.
So to have the luxury of just getting messy with it. Also, shit, I should have ordered another blank. We just go back up to the counter. I think Eric
nice.
reordered 2 or 3 times.
Ah,
And we all just had the best dining
nice.
experience.
I can see that. It's funny because when I ate it in the car,
This
I was
is not
like,
an ad, by the way.
No, it's not. But it's like Cassie's. I mean, we just can't stop
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about things we like. So I was eating the stuff and I was like, okay, like it's not as good as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little sad about that, but I ate it. But since then, I've been craving it.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that weird?
It is.
Like the takeaway was like, okay.
Uh-huh.
But now I want more.
Oh, wow. Taco smell.
Is that something people said?
That's what Nate always says.
Oh,
Let's go to taco smell.
it has a good smell.
I love it.
I know. It's
Do you
the
know when you were out of
sauce.
town, Wobby Wob and I were in a very deep turnaround pinch
Before gym.
before Jim.
Oh, after I left after Kate?
Yeah. And Wobby Wob picked up a sack of Taco Bell and we ate it here in the attic.
That was the same day I had Taco Bell.
my God, you're right.
Oh my God.
Wow, it was in the stars.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm s-
I feel touched by
Me
that.
too.
Interesting.
Cosmic. I have not had that since I was 10.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not one of your cheats?
No, how crazy. What did
Really
you
crazy.
get? Tacos?
You got the Supreme, and I got the Cheesy Gordita Crunch.
See, these are ones I should have. Like, I didn't get cheesy gordita crunch. I didn't
Soft
get.
and crunchy.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to get that again.
Let's
sometime.
do it this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to try the Mexican pizza.
And that, yeah.
It's like $5, $6. It's so outrageously priced. Just it's infinitely more expensive than everything else on the menu.
Oh. Well, that was the other thing. So we ordered a quote bunch of stuff, and obviously not that much stuff, but for us, because we were like, oh, we'll do this, and oh, let's do that
Oh,
thing.
throw one of those in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was $10 total, and we could not believe it. So that's it.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, the last one was just like people should probably watch that Jason Momoa for Carhartt's video because it's good.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I watched it a long time ago and then I pulled it back up. I was gonna play it, but it's long,
Yeah, it's very long.
so I'm not gonna play it.
Ethereal. That's how I would describe it. It's
Yeah.
just, there's really I don't know what the plot is of it. It's just kind of.
Well, should I play a little bit of it?
Sure.
I'll just play a little bit. Oh, I can't. I don't have service.
Oh, well, that solves that.
So anyway, that's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you.
Love you.